Well, welcome to a Pastor's Cafe. I am your host, David. I'm here with Pastor Steve Kern, and we have a good topic to talk about today. We're going to talk about conspiracy theories that stir the pot, and we will be right back.
Oh, boy.
Well, welcome back to the show. Actually, welcome back. It's been a 2-week break because of the weather.
Did you miss us?
Man, I tell you, it's been crazy. And it's been every Wednesday, which is the day we set aside to record our podcast.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we have a juicy one in store.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is great because I have picture proof.
Oh, dear me.
I have proof. And so if you want to argue with me, you're going to lose because I have pictures. And pictures don't lie.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, today, the first topic and the first question is about the round earth versus the flat earth. And what does the Bible say? So here's a question.
Okay.
Some believe that the Bible supports a flat earth model, while others argue that science confirms a round earth. What do the scriptures actually say about the shape of the earth? Is this debate purely scientific, or does it hold theological significance? Now, I have my proof. There it is. That's the earth, and it is flat.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing that that Columbus didn't get over here somewhere and went off the side of the earth when he was afraid of the flat earth back then. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, so I made a couple notes, and I gave you all my notes, so you
Yeah.
know exactly which Bible verses that actually proves that we have a flat earth. I'm just joking. But Revelation 7:1 that mentioned the four corners of the earth.
Yeah.
Job 38:13, speaking of the earth's edges. So, but anyways, the question is for you. Would you like to disprove the image on the screen? Go ahead. We're all listening. Can't wait.
Well, for one thing, I'd like to know where in the world they got that image from. They certainly didn't get it when they went out into the universe and took a picture.
I think this was AI created.
Oh God! Yeah.
I mean, I asked Grok.
Now you see, that's why everybody thinks AI is so dangerous. You know? Oh gosh.
All right, here we go. Round Earth versus flat Earth.
Well, obviously, the Bible's very clear that it's had the understanding of a round Earth from very early on. I mean, in the book of Job, God Himself is rebuking Job and say, "Where were you when I created the circle of the earth?" You know, that's in Job chapter 26, verse 10.
Circle of the earth.
Yeah, and but the other thing too is that in Proverbs chapter 8, verse 27, it also talks about the creation time there, referring back to the creation week and the creation of the round earth. And it seems to me that when you look out into the universe and when God created, in engineering, when something works well, you continue to repeat it. Well, you look out into the universe and everything you see is what? Round.
Flat.
Round ball. Round
See,
ball.
when I look flat, round, flat.
Oh, dear me. I know. Well, yeah, but you know, the thing about it is, when you can come up with you can get people to believe just about anything.
Sure. Yeah.
If you can give them something to kind of that gives some kind of support to what you're trying to say.
Sure. Now, for me, the easiest way to understand the round Earth are plane flights. Flights that go from United States to like China, is that they actually fly north and then back down because that is the shortest distance from point A to point B. If you were to go around the Earth this way, then your flight time would increase 3 times, 4 times. So that doesn't prove it, but you kind of look at a globe and light patterns.
I think this does prove it. When you start on the equator and you start going east, you keep going and going and going and going,
until
and the
you
next
fall
thing,
off.
until you all of a sudden you come right back to where you started. And if you
How long did it take you to do that?
north or go south and all the way around and come back, and all of a sudden you're right back where you started. And that's where Jesus talks about that he will take your sins as far as the east is from the west. If you travel east, you're always going to be traveling east.
Okay.
If you travel west,
Gotcha.
you're always going to be traveled west. So Jesus himself actually is using the concept of a circle around Earth to make us understand how far God removes our sin. Because you keep going, you're just going to do it infinitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might believe you. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But it's something that is kind of like a hot topic that people talk about. And there's people that live in their closets and they're secretly a flat earther and they don't want to mention it in fear of someone will say, you're using something other than the King James Version. Uh-oh, that's a question. That's a topic we need to address. Is King James only or NLT? But we've got to save that later. But I think secretly there are people who are living, they live that life of, I'm a flat earther, but I'm going to, live very, below the radar, and they don't ever mention it in church.
Yeah.
But now I kind of understand.
Yeah.
They pick
there's some books out there. I mean, they're that thick that for arguments for a flat earth.
Oh, I know. And so I just had a couple more verses here. Job 26:7 states that God hangs the earth on nothing, aligning with the spherical earth in space rather than a fixed flat structure.
Well, but when he says hangs the earth on nothing, that doesn't really say anything about whether the earth is round or flat. All it's saying is it's hanging there in the midst of a universe where there is no, yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Did you want to mention any more, or do you think you fully answered it and convinced all of our listeners that the earth is round?
Well,
because I hope they fire back at you, and I hope they email like crazy, and they find pictures like this, and I'm just joking.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I just I have encountered different folks that have come to me and talked about, hey, I've been reading about flat. I think they've got some good arguments and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't want to disrespect them, but I just really feel like that it seems to me that a round earth has been established for so long.
Yeah, sure.
Historically, I mean, when you're going out and you're looking at everything else in the universe and it's all round, all the planets, all the stars, everything, it's a pretty obvious, reasonable conclusion to say, oh, the earth must be round too.
Sure.
Especially if I can travel from one point, go all the way around and come back to the same point.
And then let me ask this, how big of a difference will this argument or this debate really matter when we get to heaven?
Won't matter at all. Actually.
Exactly, right? So it seems like we get worked up about this stuff, and we really just should look at the bigger picture.
Yeah. Yeah,
the earth is flat.
Yeah. The word.
Thank you for agreeing with me.
The earth being round or the earth being flat, does that change the fact that Jesus came to this earth and died?
Nope.
That it doesn't change, the biblical understanding, the gospel telling us about how that God became a man and lived amongst us and died on the cross and resurrected again. Yeah, that's the basics right there. Yeah,
and what we can get into next time, hopefully, is discuss the different Bible versions. And how certain words over time changed.
Yeah.
And so that'll be a lengthy discussion. Well, we'll say that for next time.
Sure.
All right, here we go. The moon landing, fact or fabrication? Did humans really land on the moon, or was it an elaborate hoax? What are the key arguments for and against the moon landing being real, and how should Christians approach such claims? Now, I have some photographs for you to look at.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a shot on the moon, and they brought their studio lights in and their cameras and set everything up on the moon so they can film it properly, right? Okay, and then here's another shot where they, built the studio on the surface of the moon.
All right.
Yeah. So what are these
There's
pictures?
somebody up over here and everything too.
Oh yeah, right here. We have. I'll put this on full screen so people can see it.
You already mentioned it once. Let's do it again.
What?
AI.
Oh, this is not AI. This is a real photograph. I mean, this is the studio on the surface of the moon.
Have you ever gone to these movies and seen how that they can do all this kind of stuff and make it look as real as real? I remember in 1969, I just gotten out of the military, and when was it? It was like June the 29th or something like that, that the landing took place, and they were really making a big deal out of it. And my thinking about it is that it's not if you had the first moon landing, well, what about there's been more than one moon landing. You have the Apollo thing, 13, and then there was one before that, one and another one after that. And they've never really come out and made a big deal out of whether that was true or not. And then we have all this stuff going on with satellites, and we still have some astronauts that are stuck up they're trying to get Elon Musk to put something together to go and bring them back. There's just so much technology that's developed since that time, and so many. We've got all these different satellites that are going way out into the universe and taking pictures of all kinds of stuff. I just feel like that, they're trying to make it look like the U.S. tried to pull the wool over everybody's eyes to make them think so that we would be seen as the leaders and all of that, and we beat the Russians and all that kind of a thing. And so, no, I really think that it was pretty genuine stuff.
Okay. Me personally, I don't think we did. That's just my opinion. And the reason why I say that is I took a deep dive in this, and I shouldn't have, because we can, as a researcher.
Of course you are.
You can do things that you shouldn't do to make the numbers go your way. Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but people do that. I always try to base my opinions or my thoughts on facts and stuff that I can research and find out for myself. But taking a deep dive in this, like the radio transmissions between the president and the crew, the sending and receiving with the technology at that time was way too close of a time back and forth, unless they cut it because they didn't want to sit there and wait. Because if I talk to you, you're a distance, 3 feet from me? Yeah. If I talk to you at this distance, it's very close, and you're hearing me immediately. Yeah. If you're standing a football field a length apart, and I shout, it's going to take a little more longer time for you to hear that. And so when you have the Earth and you have just outside of our atmosphere communication, there's going to be a delay. And you would assume that if you're communicating with someone from the Earth to the moon, there's going to be significant delay in sound. So, I mean, there's just one aspect of it. And I'm not trying to prove anything.
Now, let me say this.
Okay.
You've got something that's really going for you. You know what that is?
A brain?
People are losing trust in our government. Yeah. Because there's been so much out there now that we're learning that has been false. Yeah. So there's there's a lot of lack of trust.
Oh,
And so you look back on that and you start. It's not a hard thing to believe that it's possible, knowing what we know now about the kinds of things that have been happening in our government and the media itself. There's so much stuff out there that It's just you don't know what to believe and not.
Yeah, because we're consuming content, but do we really know if this content is real?
Yeah.
I mean, this whole entire belief system. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but it came about like 20 plus years ago. It's the simulation theory that we're basically living in a matrix and we're just like human batteries plugged up to a major, alien race. And, the moon is basically an alien base, getting ready to invade. And, you read about, Project Bluebeam and, how they're going to have to come up with some kind of projection to make it seem like we're being attacked by aliens. So the whole entire humanity must unite together in a one world government.
But now, where does all that come from? That all comes from the basic assumption that there is no God. So if there is no God, then there has to be some other way that all this came into existence. And then you start talking about evolution. You start about if it happened here, it could have happened there. And there's other life on other planets, obviously, because if it happened here, and we don't know how whether there are others that have been out there that have developed a lot sooner than us, and all of that kind. And now we're getting into multiverse universes and all different kinds
with
of things.
With the quantum computing going on,
and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's pretty easy for it to do when it's just pretty much speculation.
Yeah.
Your speculation can just really just go.
Oh, I know.
Up the roof.
Exactly.
And so. And because people, they really don't, they think you know more than they do, or they know better than you do, or more information than you.
Sure.
Then, I guess maybe that could be, you don't really, so then it's kind of a wishy-washy thing. You don't know what to believe. Mm-hmm. So, and don't you think, though, what is the Lord, what is Satan? He's the author of confusion.
Yeah, exactly.
And all this stuff is out there just getting you to where you don't really are not really willing to finally focus in on something and accept that as truth.
Yeah, and you just said the key word, focus.
Yeah.
Because all these conspiracy theories, all this information, and all the different content that we can view on YouTube is drawing us further away from God than closer to God. So, it's kind of all by design.
Well, I was excited about talking about the CERN thing.
Oh, yeah, that's the next question.
Oh, is that the next question?
Yeah, that's the next question.
Okay.
Yeah, so here we go. Next question is question number 3. Yeah. CERN, the Large Hadron Collider and portals to other dimensions. All right, here we go. Some theorists claim that CERN's experiments with particle acceleration could be opening portals to other realms or even demonic forces. Is there any biblical basis for such concerns, or is this purely science fiction? And the reason why I ask this is because not only are we hearing about this or seeing things with our own eyes that are a reflection of what they're doing with CERN, but also we can get on any kind of social media and see pictures and videos or people are taken up in the night sky.
Yeah.
And there's almost like Ezekiel's wheel. And it's making you think, are we opening portals, or is this new quantum computer stuff that they're really getting into and building and construction? Are we really starting to get into things that we shouldn't?
We're not opening anything to anything. It's already been there.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
When you go to...
So you're saying God's in control?
What I'm saying...
I'm just...
Genesis chapter 1:1 says this. In the beginning, God.
Yeah.
All right. In the beginning of time, space, and matter. In the beginning of this universe, God already existed.
Yeah.
All this exists, but the Bible tells us God is spirit. Those who worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. Meaning then, and God is infinite.
Yep.
So his existence was an infinite existence before he called the time, space, matter continuum into existence that he later filled in the fourth day with the sun, moon, stars, and all that stuff. But that tells us then that yes, if we were going to do particle, we should understand that this natural universe is really a extension of the spiritual realm, and you would expect for there to be a blending going on there. When you talk about how that in Genesis or John 1, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Nothing was created without him. You go to Colossians chapter 1, verse 17, and in him all things hold together. What is that? That's God, the spiritual realm, God's. And what we don't know anything about, we know energy.
Yeah.
We know how to describe it, how it works and all that, but we don't know its source. We don't know the source of any energy. We can explain it. We see how it works, gravity, electromagnetism, all of those things. Yeah, we can, and we've learned how to use it. We don't know what its source is.
Yeah.
The Bible tells us that in Genesis 1:1 or 1:2 that the Spirit was moving over the surface. That's energy, undulation. And then God says, what? Let there be light. And the kind of energy that's involved in there, you really see that the source of energy is God in Genesis 1:1. Now, we get into a problem because I wrote this down one time. Does your theology determine how you interpret your science, or does your science interpret how you interpret your theology?
Good.
What comes first? Now, the biblical point is that if you don't have God first or your theology before your science is going to have a lot of assumptions that basically aren't going to work.
Yep.
But if you believe, well, just like the concept of design, everything came from an explosion. Or did it come from an intelligent being?
Yeah, so
you get into those kind of
Apple, there was an explosion, and they made this watch.
I know. but the Bible is that's the whole essence of the whole thing right there.
Yeah.
Is, yes, there's particle. What did God start with? When he created Genesis 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That earth there is not the earth. It's the elements or the particles that make the elements. And then and then Genesis, then as he starts calling things into existence, he's causing those particles to form into elements that start forming matter.
Yeah. How do you wrap your head around this?
You see?
Yeah. It just blows my mind.
So, but the point is there. It's right there, and it's reasonable.
Yeah.
And So we get into this stuff where, the idea that God then is the ultimate reality. You see.
Good.
And everything else exists because God exists.
Yeah.
That is far more reasonable than to think that something came from nothing and then all of a sudden that whatever it was that was
Bang.
And then it blew into a bang and all that kind of a thing. That's when you have science interpreting your theology. What do we see happening? In Genesis chapter 1, you have the word day.
Yep.
But you're looking at science and you say, well, the universe has to be billions of years old because we know that the speed of light so fast, and that these galaxies and stars are billions of light years away. And how are we able to see them? Well, it's taken it time to come here. Okay? So when your science interprets your Genesis 1, then you say, wait a minute, there's got to be more time here than 6,000 years. I mean, or a day between things. But if you have the understanding that there's a God who is not limited by power, if you have a God who's not limited by time, space, matter, any of it, he brought it all into existence.
That's right.
Then what you can understand is God calls that into existence all over in the fourth day, and fills the time, space, and matter up that God brought into existence on the first day. Then what we have to understand is what we're observing is something that was created mature, and we're not observing. It was already created mature, so we can't really get back to how did it happen. We know how it happens. God told us. I spoke it into existence. You see what I'm saying?
Good. Yeah.
But if you're coming from a natural perspective, where you have to explain everything from a natural perspective, and then you have to come up with all these different kinds of theories but we can't really understand how the universe began, because God spoke it into existence, and it came into existence. And it doesn't matter how big it is, because God is bigger than it is.
That's right.
And I like that book one time that was out, Your God is Too Small. But you see, that's the thing. If your science is interpreting...
That's a good point.
If is your theology, then all of a sudden it's going to start causing you to reinterpret the word.
Yeah.
Now, would not God, if he wanted us to know from the beginning, would he take 6,000 years for us to finally figure it out? Or would he expect us to have enough sense to know that when he said a day and he meant a day, that he meant a day? So it gets back to, okay, am I going to believe God's word? Or am I going to believe man's science? And that's the choice.
Yeah.
So,
I gotcha.
I'm really glad you had that question, because
oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad that you said what you did. It makes sense. And oftentimes we want to be in control. We want to be in the know.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just got to realize, you know what? God is bigger than anything.
Right.
God's in control. And if he wants to do whatever he wants to do, then that's what he's going to do.
Well, the thing that we need to see is that God spoke it into existence, just like Adam's body was real.
Yeah.
That's all real. Is it billions of years, light years away? Yeah, it is. All of it is. I mean, we're not looking at some kind of a fantasy thing. It really does exist that way, but that's how God called it, and it had to be that way in order for what he was doing on the earth, because we know through the anthropomorphic arguments about how all these things have to be perfectly in line in order for life to exist on this earth. And the rest of the universe all has to have called into existence at the same time in order for what we are existing on this earth to have been able to begin to exist in a day's time.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where you get it. What, are you going to believe man's science that's based on a false assumption that there is no God? Or are you going to believe, first of all, you're going to have a science that's based on a creator?
That's good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time for our next question, because the next question might take us
that much longer.
So let's save the last question, because we're talking about...
What is the question?
It's about hidden agendas.
Oh, yes.
And the New World Order.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we can do a whole episode on that, and then we can get to the different versions of the Bible, because I would really like to get your thoughts on that for our public audience. Because, real quick though, I find myself reading the NLT more so than the King James.
Yeah.
So anyways, I would just like to get into a little discussion about that. I think it'd be very kind of thought-provoking. And because for a long time, many, many, many years, I've heard in churches that King James Version is the only version. It is the version. It is the true Word of God. And that is an absolute true statement. And there shall be no other versions of the Bible that they're all perversions of the Bible.
Well, we could certainly get into that.
We'll get into that. That I think that'd be a really good discussion. So we'll save that for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm sure the weather is going to be really nice.
Oh, yeah.
For the next several weeks, so we shouldn't be missing any episodes.
I hope not.
Yep. So next week we'll talk about the New World Order. And boy, I tell you what, it seems like everything's changing by the day.
Yeah, for sure.
So we live in exciting times.
It is.
Yeah. So
But maybe we'll get a few questions or some people writing back in and saying, I still believe in a flat earth. So,
or I agree with David. We did not go to the moon. Or I agree with Pastor Steve Kern. We did go to the moon. Oh, well. All righty. Well, thanks for joining us today on A Pastor's Cafe. We hope you enjoyed listening to our in-depth conversation today on conspiracy theories and things that stir the pot.
Amen.
So we will see you all next week. Take care and bye-bye.